I hope you deserve this!
Hi, this is Luke from MGN, and today we're going to go through part 3 of the class overviews in Dark Deity. Part 3 is going to be Clerics. So, classes in Dark Deity are split up into 6 different trees, with Ranger, Warrior, Cleric, and Mage available during the first mission of the game, and then the Rogue and Adept coming shortly thereafter. Like I said, today we're going to go through, I'd say, a pretty comprehensive guide on everything to do with the Cleric class, what you can expect from using Cleric characters, where you can take them, their stats and skills, pretty much all the information that you're going to need at a glance to plan your Cleric characters. That's a bit of a mouthful, in Dark Deity. A lot of alliteration there. Naturally, if you want to avoid spoiling the class unlocks or the characters that are available later on in the game you might not have seen, well, you should probably turn back now. This is your warning, because there's going to be some pretty serious spoilers from here on out. I'll give you a little chance. Clerics are probably much more diverse than you're expecting if you've played similar games in the genre. Generally in other games, or in the genre, they're quite frail, can only be used to heal the party, and if they have any potential to dish out damage, the damage is pretty insignificant. It just gives them something to do while everyone's healthy. It doesn't really matter. But that's not the case with the Clerics or quote-unquote healers in Dark Deity. Not only can they be spec to deal heavy melee or magic damage, they're all pretty beefy. Maren and Lincoln can absolutely be used to tank heavy hits in the early game if you need to. They're good. Depending on your stats and growths and how you choose to spec them, like I mentioned, in either melee or magic damage, they also have the potential to heal. This means that if your party is healthy and then your healer isn't really stuck with nothing to do, if you're getting good magic growths or specifically want to build a healer mage, you can do that. If you want to go the strength route and have more of a holy warrior build, well, you've got that option and the tools to do so too. Clerics are genuinely super diverse, and you're given enough of them to explore all these options. So we're going to start with the stats and abilities of the base class in Cleric, obviously, then the stats and abilities of every promotion option at level 10, and then obviously once we get there we're going to go further to the level 30 promotions. So let's start with the base class. It's called Cleric. The damage type for the base class of Cleric is crushing damage. Their default armor type is plate. They only have a 5 movement range. They have the attack range of exclusively 1. They are a melee unit to start, and their class skill is probably pretty easy to guess. You just heal an adjacent ally. Once you hit level 10, then you'll have a bit more of an opportunity to design your Cleric how you want them to look. With the level 10 promotions, our first option is the Inquisitor. Their damage type will remain crushing, and their armor type will also remain plate. Additionally, you get an extra movement range here, so you take that up to 6, you can move 6 tiles, and their attack range stays exclusively at 1. Still a melee unit, but they get a big hammer. The first class skill that you'll gain into addition of whatever your unit's default skill is, that your power is increased by 30% of enemy's magic. So whatever their magic stat is, that gets added on to your power at the end of the calculations. It can mean that if you put the Inquisitor up against, mages early on in the game, you can go very close to one-shotting him, even at very early stages of the game where that's not very common. The second class skill for Inquisitor is that healing doubles accuracy for the next enemy phase. That's not your attack phase, that's when you're getting counter attacks. So if you heal a unit, but you've got your Inquisitor in a position wherein you're going to funnel enemies at them, your return attacks are going to have increased accuracy by a lot. And Inquisitor, like Cleric into Inquisitor, it's pretty beefy, so you can afford to do that. The next option for your level 10 promotions is Guardian. There, your damage type will also remain crushing, and your armor type will also remain plate. The difference being that Guardian is a mounted unit, which means A, it is a contributor to the Cavalry achievement, and B, you get enhanced movement range, taking you up to 7 at your level 10. The attack range for Guardian still stays at 1, you're still a melee unit exclusively. For your class skills as Guardian, you will get healing power plus 25%, and then heals also spread over 3 turns. It makes Guardian an extremely good healer. Not only do you get the increased amount of heal, you also get them regenerating rather than just nuke over healing them. It's very good. And honestly, if you're going to have 2 of any type of healer, I wouldn't recommend it, because diversity in Dark Deity, it's kind of what the game's centered around. But if you were ever going to 2 Guardians, there's nothing wrong with that. They're very good. The second class skill for Guardian is defense increased by % of your missing health. So the lower health you get, the more resistance you get to physical attacks, can keep you alive. Keep in mind that that's defense, not fortitude. It won't help with your resistance to magical attacks. Your third option for level 10 promotions as a cleric is the priest. Your damage type will change to holy magic. Your armor type will be cloak or rune cloak, whichever takes your fancy. Unfortunately, your movement range stays at 5, but this is offset by the fact that you're now a magic unit, and you can attack at either 1 or 2 range. You're not pigeonholed into either one of those like a melee or an archer is. The first class skill for priest, the magic user, is that your healing range is increased by 1. Like I said, the movement range not increasing when you promote isn't a huge deal, because A, you get an extra attack range, and B, you get an extra healing range, so it's not the end of the world. Second class skill for priest is that dodge is increased by 15% of whatever your power is, your advanced stat power. The result there, your dodges gets 15%. That doesn't have to be triggered by anything, it's just always there. Your last option for the level 10 promotions is again a magic user, but it focuses a bit more on letting you dish out magic damage but also being able to heal, whereas the priest is you're a really good healer and also you can do magic damage. It's the inverse. So the damage type for acolyte is holy, their armor type is leather. They get increased movement range up to 6, and they also have a 1 or 2 attack range. They can attack from either and counter attack from either. Their first class skill is extremely good. All the lifesteal talents are, and this is where the Clerics is. You will heal for 33% of the damage dealt. It's really worth getting this class skill, even if you're going a different way with your Cleric unit later, just because lifesteal is disgustingly good in this game in all of its forms. The second class skill is that healing increases critical hit by chance by 6% until your next attack. Stacks up to 4 times. So if you heal 4 units before you are attacked or you attack, you get 4 times 6. Is very, very good. Having said that, often it ends up just being the regular 6%. Whether you're getting an attack in or a counter attack, it's very often with Acolyte, so it ends up being a 6% a lot of the time. But you can finesse it and you can purposely avoid these situations to build it up to its maximum potential, if you want. Kind of feels like maybe wasting the utility, but there's certainly value there. The level 30 promotions, that's it. When you reach level 30, you'll get to promote again, and you don't necessarily need to take the class that is canological for the previous one. You can mix it up. You can go Acolyte into Crusader if you want. Very, very different class options, but you know what I mean. You're not pigeonholed just because you made a decision earlier in the game. You can switch it up if you want. Your first option for level 30 promotions as a Cleric is the Crusader. Their damage type is still the same from their base class, it's crushing. Their armor type is plate. They do get a bit of movement range, they get 7, which is pretty good for such an armored unit. Their attack range is exclusively 1, they are a melee class. The first class skill for Crusader enables their healing a bit better than if you went straight from Inquisitor to Crusader, is that you will get an additional 10% on your next heal whenever you attack, and it stacks. So if you attack 4 or 5 times, you can get 40% extra, you can get 50% extra on your next heal. Doesn't come in as often as you would think, because often, regardless of this, you heal units to full, but can be used in an emergency, I suppose. The second class skill is one of the very few that actually is affected by bonds in the game. So if a bonded unit, doesn't matter where they are on the map, is below 20%, your movement will go up to will get +3, taking you up to 10. I'm not going to say this is the highest in the game because it needs a buff to achieve it. It's not natural, the natural being 9. But yeah, you can move 10 only if a bonded unit is below 20 HP. So don't skip those bonds. But 20% is really, really low. You want to avoid that as much as possible anyway. So I'd say that both of these class skills don't really come in as handy very often. They're very situational. The second option for your level 30 promotions as a cleric is the paladin. That's a mounted unit as well, so it's going to contribute to the cavalry achievement, and you're going to get enhanced movement range. Damage type for paladins is crushing, their armor type is plate, quite durable, their movement range is all the way up to 8, and they have an attack range of 1, still a melee unit, but you get a shield, you get a horse, you get a hammer, it's all very good. The sprite's cool. The class skill number 1 for paladin is that damage over 20% of your max HP is reduced by half. So anything that was going to go over 20%, yeah, just straight cut in half. It's very handy, keeps your paladin around for a while. The second class skill for paladins is that healing an ally leaves a ward for 3 turns, increasing healing taken. That also means that, you know, it's really good to use your paladin as the first healer, and then if you have to, you don't often have to, then you can follow up with any other healers that you have. Third option for promotions at level 30 for clerics is the prophet. He's got big robes and a big staff. It's quite a cool sprite again. Damage type for prophet is holy. You'll be a magic user. Your armor type will be leather. You'll get a movement range of 6 tiles, and your attack range will be 1 to 2. Doesn't matter where you get attacked from in those ranges, you will counter. It provides a bit of utility. Prophet, their first class skill is that healing range is increased by 1, and this means that if you've taken that exact same skill at level 10, well, you can heal from pretty far away. Second class skill is that dodge is increased by 15% of power. The better your magic, the better your power, the better your dodge. It's very, very beneficial to have a high magic stat, so it's really okay to go Acolyte into Prophet, works quite well. Last option for level 30 promotions as a cleric is Phantom. You will lose your legs if you pick this class. They don't have any legs, but you become like a really cool Geist ghost thing. The sprite is very well done. Damage type for Phantom is surprisingly holy, it's still holy. Your armor type will be Rune Cloak or Cloak, whatever takes your preference. You get a movement range of 7. You don't really walk, you more glide, because like I said, no legs. Attack range as a magic user is 1 to 2. If you get attacked in those ranges, you'll counterattack. Class skills for Phantom, the first being you cannot take more than 45% of your HP in one hit. That means if you're about to get nuked by something, not more than 45%, but this excludes crits, so if you get critted, you're probably just screwed. Second class skill is that damage is increased according to an enemy's missing health. Not terribly useful, because if they already have a lower health, you don't really need the extra damage, but that's the second class skill for Phantom. Characters who you're going to run into during Dark Deity that are clerics are, the first being Maren. She'll be one of the characters that you start with if you haven't randomized or reversed your recruitment order. Maren's default skill is very, very good. She is healed for 40% of any heal that she gives, meaning that, like I said, Maren's pretty beefy early on in the game. If you use her to take hits, you don't have to worry about making her use healing items on herself at this stage of the game when you don't have a second healer, because if you heal an ally, we get 40% of that, so you don't really have to worry about topping yourself up. Really good default skill, and honestly, it's really good throughout the whole game. The second unit that you'll recruit that's a cleric is Lincoln, and his default skill is that magic is increased by 20% of strength. This means that Lincoln really excels in diversifying. If you're going to swap from magic to strength or vice versa, then Lincoln's probably the best candidate, because he benefits from both very much. So it doesn't matter where your growth rate is at early or late in the game, Lincoln's going to make the best opportunity of it. The third option is Sam or Samara, and her default skill is that her movement is increased by 1. Doesn't matter which class that she takes, you get an extra one. It's pretty simple, but it means that she can cross really far distances, especially if you pick the cavalry units. The second to last cleric that you're going to get is Vesta, and her default skill is that her defense and fortitude stats are increased by 15% when under half health. It's not that great, because to begin with, you want to avoid ever getting that low. If you have to, you get some nice bonuses. But if enemies are targeting to the point where that you're getting under half health and then taking more damage beyond that, you're in a bit of trouble. It helps, but you want to avoid this situation anyway. Last option that you'll recruit as a cleric is Faust, the barrel rider. He doesn't like being put back in the barrel. And his is actually, it's not totally influential on healing, but it is a support. Allies within 2 tiles of Faust will get plus 8% critical hit chance. That's really wide, and it's a good buff. It makes Faust a very good support character. Alright, that's going to wrap things up for our overview of the Cleric class. If you've had particular success with speccing a character down a certain class line, with grabbing specific level 10 and then level 30 class skills with a specific default or a specific aspect, well, we'd love to hear about your success or your failure on the mgn.gg blog, our YouTube channel, of course, the new Twitter, mgn_TV, and our new Discord. I'm going to put links for all of those in the video description of the overview of this video. So that's everything for the Cleric class for this one. Thanks for checking it out.